The conference room buzzed with end-of-quarter chatter when my phone lit up with Tyler's name. I slipped into the hallway between framed mission statements and a fake ficus, already bracing for small talk about flights and weather. Instead, his voice came through cold and triumphant. "I'm divorcing you," he said. "I already sold the apartment, so you'll need to figure out where you're going to live. Enjoy that." For a heartbeat, I only heard the hum of the vending machine and the soft whir of the air conditioner. The audacity was almost funny. 6 years together, dissolved into a sentence tossed like a paper cup into a trash bin. "Copy that," I said, steady as a marble countertop. He waited for the crack in my voice that never came. I let the silence work on him and ended the call. When I tucked my phone back into my blazer, it buzzed again. An automated email from the e-sign platform. Signature attempt failed. Identity verification declined. Audit report attached. He had tried to sign something as me. He didn't even know the name of my first landlord or which loan servicer held my tiny grad school debt. The platform flagged the attempt and copied the title company. The audit trail might as well have been a neon sign. Fraud prevention engaged. I forwarded the audit to my attorney and friend, Chloe, with 2 words. "He's moving. My name is Amelia. I am 38, and I like things that reconcile budgets, travel itineraries, relationships. When something doesn't align, I don't panic. I prepare." The first hairline crack had appeared months ago. A dinner for 2 receipt from a rooftop steakhouse on a night he had sworn he was stuck at the office. I didn't confront him. I opened a new bank account at a different bank and moved my personal savings, emergency fund, and the small bucket labeled someday. I left exactly 2 months of the typical deposits in the joint account, just enough to look normal if anyone glanced. Then I pulled the file labeled home from the hall closet and read every page. There it was. The refinance we did when rates dipped. We had shaved a full point off the mortgage. Because my credit score is nearly mythic, and his was bruised, the lender had vested title in me alone. He signed the documents anyway. He never read anything longer than a menu. It wasn't just betrayal that undid my marriage. It was carelessness. The day I opened the new account, I set credit freezes with all 3 bureaus and filed a revocation for an old power of attorney we'd used for closings. I called the title insurer, flagged the file, and told them no transfer, no release, no second mortgage without my notarized in-person signature. I started a list: document, notify, escrow, HOA, HR. It turned out that preparation is a kind of mercy for yourself. By the time I got home that night, the sunset had turned our street the soft color of grapefruit flesh. Our 2-bedroom condo had the improbable light of an older building and a second-hand Eames chair Tyler loved more than he should have. His jacket was flung across it. His shoes lay where gravity last wanted them. The place smelled faintly of cologne and gym bag. I set the home file on the kitchen counter and fanned out the pages like tarot cards. Deed with only my name, refinance packet, the title policy, the HOA estoppel procedures I'd printed and underlined. While the kettle heated, I called the HOA and placed a hold on any estoppel certificate. You cannot close a condo without an estoppel letter confirming no delinquent dues or assessments. The HOA manager said she would not release one without my written authorization. Next, I called the title company and forwarded the e-sign audit. The escrow officer said she was freezing the escrow account and notifying the buyer's agent. Another email pinged in from my company's payroll system. Direct deposit change request denied. New account number did not match my registered device. Security incident opened. He had tried to reroute my paycheck from his office computer. Our HR team is not the villain in this story, but if they were, they'd be a very competent one. The door opened on a burst of evening air, and Tyler stormed in with his phone hailed like proof of a crime. "What is this?" he barked. "You can't block a sale. You're being insane." "You can't sell what you don't own," I said. "It's half mine." "No," I answered, turning the deed toward him. "When we refinanced, the title vested in me. You signed. You didn't read. That's not a felony. It's a habit." His mouth opened and closed. The bravado drained out of his face. Behind him, the door swung again, and she walked in. Nicole, in a fitted blazer and glossy shoes, the posture of a queen bee, and the eyes of someone checking for exits. "We're just here to grab a few things," she said, with a smile that wanted to land and didn't. Tyler said the place was handled. "You won't be staying," I told her. Nicole glanced at him. "I thought you... Didn't you say..." "It's complicated," he snapped, and that was when my phone pinged with another email. "Escrow suspended, buyer notified, HOA estoppel on hold, audit shared with counsel." "It's not complicated," I said. "You tried to sell my home. The buyer has been told the sale is void. If you've spent a single dollar of any deposit, you've just created a separate problem with another person's lawyer." He stared at me like I had rewritten gravity. Nicole's tote slipped lower on her wrist. "You said the money was already moving." He didn't answer. "Take your jacket and the shoes," I said, surprising myself with how gentle it sounded. "The rest stays until property is inventoried." He started to protest, but Nicole tugged his sleeve, and they left as quickly as they had arrived. The door clicked shut, and the condo exhaled. I sat at the dining table with my tea and wrote down the exact time everything happened, like a second ledger that kept the truth honest. The next morning, the buyer's agent called. His voice was clipped and professional on speakerphone, but I could hear the hiss under it. "I represent the purchaser, who believed they were purchasing your unit from a Mr. Tyler Carter." "Tyler is not on the title," I said. "Escrow has suspended. I've provided the recorded deed and a copy of the refinance vesting. If your purchasers gave him any deposit directly, you should advise them to seek recovery. If you need any documentation from me for your file, I'm happy to send it." He cleared his throat, shame and fury wrestling for space. "We will be in touch." Chloe came over with coffee and a stack of color-coded tabs that made my heart sing. She had me sign a notice to the title company, an affidavit of sole ownership with exhibits, and a letter to the buyer's agent summarizing the facts. She also slid a slim folder across the table. "Preliminary divorce petition." "I know you don't want the courtroom version of a reality show," she said. "This is a clean, standard filing. We can serve him after you decide how public you want to make this. He's already made a mess. We don't have to add drama." "Serve him at work," I said. Before I remembered, that part of me still wanted to protect his dignity. "No. At his new place. Wherever he slinks off to." She nodded and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the way she did when she switched from friend to counsel. "I also called your employer's HR director. Not about their relationship, about the payroll attempt. They've opened a security incident on that IP address. He'll say he was helping." "He used his office computer and failed multi-factor," she replied, helping himself. 2 days later, Tyler came back with a cardboard box and eyes that wouldn't settle on anything for long. He tried to make it casual, folding shirts without urgency, like this was a move he had planned instead of a retreat. "When did you get so cold?" he asked without looking at me. "I'm not cold," I said. "I'm done?" That's a cruel thing to say. I think cruel looks like a phone call where you tell your wife she's homeless and laugh. He flinched. Nicole showed up a little after noon, standing in the hallway like she couldn't decide if she belonged. She waited until he disappeared into the bedroom and then approached me at the kitchen island. "I didn't know he wasn't on the deed," she said in a low voice, like we were co-workers gossiping at a holiday party. "He said it was his place." I thought about telling her everything. I thought about asking her how old she was, and if she had a grandmother who would be embarrassed. I thought about the sermons we feed young women about listening to their intuition. I did none of that. I hope you find something you don't have to apologize for, I said. She blinked, offended by the way I had declined to blame her. Denial doesn't know what to do with grace. She adjusted the strap on her tote and backed away. That night, Tyler's sister texted me. Heard you two are splitting. He says you're being vindictive. If you need anything, I'm here. I stared at the message for a while and put the phone face down. You learn a lot when a crisis broadcasts through a family's private channel. People take sides before they know the field. The emergency hearing Chloe filed landed us in a small courtroom with a wall clock that ticked loud enough to count mistakes. The judge was a woman with an iron part in her hair and eyes that had seen too many human beings walk, in believing they were exceptions to rules written long before they were born. She reviewed the documents slowly, mouth tightening only when she got to the e-sign audit. Mr. Carter, she said, you attempted to execute a transfer of real property without authority, and you attempted to change your spouse's payroll information using your workplace computer. Do you dispute either fact? He started to talk about love and betrayal and how money is complicated when marriages end. The judge's pen tapped the pad once. Do you dispute either fact? He swallowed. No. She ordered all shared assets frozen pending final distribution and barred him from trespassing or attempting to transfer title in any way. The temporary orders gave me exclusive possession of the condo until final judgment. On the way out, Tyler tried to speak to me in the hallway like we were still the version of us that left restaurants laughing. Amelia, he said, can we talk? We did, I answered. You were on speaker. I didn't watch him leave. Some scenes do not need an audience to finish. What surprised me in the weeks that followed was not how quickly the gossip burned out, but how thoroughly the condo changed even before I replaced anything. I rearranged the furniture, rolled up the rug he had insisted on, donated the framed jerseys, and sold the gaudy coffee table to a college kid who wanted to impress a date. The light fell differently across the walls. I filled a bowl with lemons because it made the kitchen feel like it belonged to a person who knew what she liked. Friends came and sat on the floor because I hadn't bought a new couch yet. Lauren unpacked takeout containers and told me to breathe when I didn't realize I was holding my breath. He thought he was the only one making plans, she said, handing me an egg roll. He never understood you were making yours too. He understood what he wanted to understand. I bit into sesame and ginger and something sweeter. I thought we were a partnership. I did not realize I was a system. If you want, I'll drive the getaway car, she offered. I already got away. Nicole disappeared from his photos, and then from his life, from what I could tell. His mother called me and left a voicemail in a voice that sounded 20 years older than the last time I had heard it. I did not call back. I did not want to be cruel. I did not want to be a character in their argument about how he had been raised. He tried a handful of desperate moves, claiming he had invested in the condo, that he had paid for upgrades. Chloe held up receipts like mirrors until he stopped talking about the past and started talking about payment plans. The buyer's agent filed a complaint against him. Tyler settled with the purchaser for the return of their deposit plus a small penalty. His job issued a written reprimand for the payroll stunt. There are consequences, even for people who think they have found a secret door. On the day the divorce was finalized, the courthouse smell was a mix of old paper and wet umbrellas. The judge read the terms like reading the weather, unbothered by tempests. I retained the condo and my retirement accounts. He retained his personal property and the debt he had collected like souvenirs. No alimony. Legal fees assigned to the party who tried to defraud a buyer and tamper with payroll. The gavel didn't slam. It sighed. Outside, he hovered by the concrete planter with the half-dead rosemary and said the thing men say when they realize narrative has gotten away from them. "You really hate me that much?" "I feel sorry for you," I said. "You had everything you needed to build a good life. You wanted a faster one." He looked like a boy who lost his bus pass. He opened his mouth and closed it. For one brief moment, I remembered the earlier version of Us cheap patio string lights. Grocery store sushi eaten on the floor of the first apartment, the way we had stayed up to listen to rain. Then that version broke apart and blew away like dust in sunlight. I sold the condo a year later, my choice or my timing, to a couple who cried in the kitchen because the light made them feel like their mornings would start right. I used the proceeds as a down payment on a small craftsman in a neighborhood with old trees and a coffee shop that remembered my order. I installed bookshelves and painted the front door a color with the word marigold in it because it delighted me to say it out loud. On a Sunday afternoon, I hosted a late lunch for the people who had stood next to me when I learned how to stand on my own. Lemon bars, of course. The house filled with the sound of forks on plates and stories that had nothing to do with the man who had announced my eviction over the phone. At some point, my phone buzzed with a number I did not recognize, and I didn't answer it. Later, I listened to the voicemail out of curiosity. It was Tyler, older around the edges. "I'm sorry," he said, "for the call, for everything. I thought if I did it fast, it would hurt less. I was wrong." I deleted the message without anger and put the phone face down on the table. The porch light came on by itself as the sun moved. Lauren asked for the recipe and I promised to send it. Someone refilled the water glasses and someone else asked if the paint color was really called marigold. There was laughter and the softness of ordinary happiness. The thing about betrayal is that it teaches you two lessons. The first is about the person who betrayed you. The second is about yourself. I had thought of myself as someone who could endure. It turned out I was someone who could decide. That winter, a community center asked me to speak on a panel about financial boundaries and relationships. I nearly said no because it felt like picking at a scar, but then I remembered the version of me who opened a new bank account in a quiet bank branch and tried not to shake while signing her name. I stood on the small stage in a room that smelled faintly of coffee and dry erase marker and told the truth the way a person tells a recipe. Listen to the voice inside you that whispers when numbers don't add up. Save what you can. Put your name where it belongs. Keep records. Preparation is not paranoia. Control is not cruelty. You can be kind and clear at the same time. Afterward, a woman my age with worry in her eyes thanked me. "I thought I was being dramatic," she said. "You're being careful," I answered. "Careful is love you give yourself." On the anniversary of the call, I baked lemon bars and left half the pan at the fire station down the street because gratitude and sugar are both worth sharing. I walked home under the old trees. The neighborhood smelled like wood smoke and someone's cinnamon experiment. When I reached my porch, the marigold door was the same beautiful, unnecessary shade of defiance it had always been. I stood there for a second with my hand on the knob and felt the calm that comes from knowing that if another storm arrives, I will not need to scramble for shelter. I live in a house I chose. I carry a name I own. I write endings that suit me and beginnings that do not require anyone's permission to start. He once told me on a phone call that I would need to figure out where I was going to live. I did, and it turns out I like it here.
Here's the takeaway. Short, sharp, and useful. What was wrong? Public humiliation and a breakup by phone are cowardly and emotionally abusive. Selling rating shared assets without consent isn't romance. it's fraud. Banking on charm and bluster over contracts, and law is a fast track to disaster. What was right? Calm over chaos. She chose facts, deadlines, and action. Preparation, separate accounts, freezes, title checks, airtight documentation, attorney first. Boundaries and dignity. Minimal contact. Everything through counsel. No public mudslinging. Reclaiming control, home, finances, and a new life on her terms. What not to do. Don't stage a breakup for effect or to cause maximum pain. Don't touch joint funds or credit for personal adventures. Don't underestimate a partner who keeps records. Paper wins over promises. What to do. Instead, when something feels off, document and consult a lawyer early. Keep personal and joint finances cleanly separated. Store proofs of ownership and payments. Act on procedure, not impulse. Written notices, proper timelines, legal channels. Protect your reputation. Stay silent publicly. Let the filings speak. Your turn. What do you think? How would you have handled it in her place? Drop a comment with your name and where you're from, country, and city. If you enjoyed the story, please like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.